This video is a follow-on from the previous 23 videos dealing with price in the precious metals markets. If you haven't seen those videos, I'd recommend you doing so before watching this one. In order to gain a good understanding of a future gold revaluation, we need to break the topic down into more manageable pieces. In this video, I'll talk about price and value. We have to be aware that there's a difference between price and value. We might think of them as being the same, but they are different and so shouldn't really be confused. Essentially, we ascribe a value to a product or a service in monetary terms. To put this another way, we determine the value of a product or a service, what we believe it's worth, in terms of currencies. Moreover, when we look at a price of a product in a store or online, we make a judgment as to whether that product is worth that price or not. Consumers therefore usually have some kind of notion of a product's value, its worth, in their mind when they want to buy a product, and the price will either tally with that or it will be overvalued or undervalued. As a quick example, we can think about when someone goes shopping for, say, some kind of electronic equipment. Perhaps there happens to be a sale in a particular store where they're discounting certain items. Perhaps some of those items are half price. Please note that the item itself hasn't changed, but the price has been reduced by 50% or whatever the percentage might be. The shopper might then regard the item as a bargain at that discounted price. It's become good value for money. Again, the shopper probably has some kind of notion of value, its worth in currency terms in their mind, and because of the sale, the price will make the product seem undervalued, or to put it in more colloquial terms, cheap at that particular price. And so they'll probably be encouraged to buy it. They suddenly see the product as worth buying, whereas before it might not have been worth that higher amount of money. These entities, price and value, coexist, and there is a relationship between them, but their relationship is by no means a straightforward one. Value is something altogether rather subjective. After all, what one person might regard as valuable, another might not. I refer you back to the 10th video of this mini-series where I showed the difference between price and value with regard to the housing market. I hope that in this video I was able to convey the rather abstract nature of value and the rather fluid nature of its relationship to price. For those of you who are interested, I've also done a couple of videos besides this explaining a phenomenon where I go into even more detail. So, as a general rule, we value things, or rather ascribe a monetary value to something in terms of a currency. Currency then is our measure of value or worth. Anyway, this is just a standard way in which we ascribe value to a product, but really this can be considered as being a cultural convention, the standard way in which our cultures in the present modern era ascribe value. We could use things other than currency, and that has happened in the past. For example, tobacco was used as currency in the US throughout most of the colonial times. It was made legal tender in 1642 in Virginia. In the ordinary course of events, when the economy is functioning relatively normally, we might not give much thought about price and value, and in some ways it need not be of any real concern to us. Why am I talking about this then, you might ask? Well, for two reasons. First is that we're not living in ordinary times, but I'll talk about more about this in the next video. For now, let's consider the second reason. I'm talking about this because, with regard to precious metals especially, I think it's safe to say that the current price does not reflect its real value. If there were true price discovery in the precious metals markets, if there were no market manipulation, no price suppression, then price would be a great deal higher in my opinion. For those of you who don't know, price discovery describes a scenario where market forces alone determine the price of a product. When that manipulation comes to an end, the price of precious metals will increase dramatically. I've been waiting for this time to come. When that time comes, and what that price will be, no one on the planet knows. There are various methods by which we can make educated guesses regarding the price, which I shall outline in another video. But before we do that, I want to go back and consider the second reason about us not living in ordinary times, which I'll say more about in the next video because it requires a little going into. I split this topic into a number of videos, so there's another however many to follow. In the next video, I'll talk about the state of currencies and gold, and then in the video after that, I'll talk about the methods by which we can consider the price of precious metals. Wise up and rise up.